Geoff Plummer, Executive Business Manager with Davcor Group. Thanks for joining us on My Security TV. It's great to be out here in Minchinbury, just outside of Sydney at the Davcor warehouse. But thanks again for joining us on My Security TV.
Thanks, Chris.
Geoff, we're going to be diving into the EVVA 4KS and the EVVA G2. Both quite unique key systems, but we're also going to deep dive into mechanical locking systems and the correlation between digital and electronic key systems as well. So it's a fascinating area, particularly for security consultants in the industry as well, but particularly those dealing with maximum security and high security environments. Introduce us to EVVA 4KS. It's a very unique key. We have covered it off in the past, but I think it's always good to bring it up. And it's quite a popular key now as well in terms of its market presence, right?
Yeah, EVVA 4KS is a maximum security key system. It's a premium product. It has SL3 rating on most of the system, so it's suitable for government applications. It is high security. It's anti-drill, anti-bump, basically any form of manipulation you can think of. Or
anti-picking. Yeah.
And picking. It has built-in measures to counter it. I'll never say anything is 100% proof, but it is very close to 100% proof. But someone will always prove me wrong.
Well, we'll dive into the shear lines and how it's actually designed. But yeah, just the design philosophy around it.
The design philosophy is, with key systems, having patents is very important. And also making it very user-friendly. So the patent on EVVA 4KS is in Australia is 2037. It was 20 years, so.
Yeah.
But the usability is also built into it. It works in a very similar way to your home front door key, in that you put it in, you turn it. As you'd expect a key, you put the key in and it turns. But in the similar way to you would at home, it's reversible. So really, day-to-day, for the day-to-day user, there's no training required because it works exactly the same as at home.
Well, the other one is the shear line design, so that suits for high or sort of hostile environments, dust and the like, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's true. So the shear lines in 4KS, there's 3 shear lines. You have 2 on the sidebars, which correspond, in a way to the cuts in the key. Once the sliders or pins are aligned inside, you have one either side. You also have one on the bottom of the key, which you can see the dimples in the bottom of the key. So it's got 3 shear lines, which makes it very difficult to pick. But the nature of the design also makes the key very difficult to reverse engineer.
Yeah.
With 3D printing these days and so forth. Not impossible, but very difficult because it's very, very tight tolerances.
Well, then how does that correlate to the EVVA G2? G standing for Generation 2. And so it's not maximum security, but it's that next level, right?
Yeah, we correlate EPS G2, as we call it, G2, which is Generation 2, as high security. The key looks very similar to a key you'd see on anyone's key ring to fit their house or whatever, but that's about as close as it gets. From there, it has shear lines. It has 2 shear lines. When you insert the key, there's millings in the side of the key, or dimples in the side of the key, which equals 1 shear line, which is called the sidebar. When you put the key in, there's pins that slide up and down on the cuts in the key. They align and there's a sidebar, so you've got 2 points. It also incorporates anti-drill, anti-bump, all the known ways to manipulate a cylinder into it, but it's far more cost effective.
Yep.
It's a middle level product.
What type of market does that suit?
So G2, we see it going into a lot of schools, office blocks, councils, commercial areas.
Yep.
It's generally not for mum and dad at home, but commercial.
Definitely an industrial commercial application.
Industrial,
yeah.
And those who need the ability to master key in a way and don't want an entry level product.
The other aspect is the longevity of the system as well, hence being suitable for commercial, industrial. It's built for long-term use, right? In terms of the number of people get surprised by how many people actually access doors and how often these key systems are actually used.
Well, that was something thinking about today's interview. I was going, well, 100 uses a day, it ends up 365,000 uses, no, 36,500 uses a year. I guess a main entry door to an office block could be a lot more than that, more than 100 a day. I'm guessing a home gets 5 to 10 a day, maybe, and so you can expect years and years. At 100 a day, you'd expect 1/10, but we don't. We get years and years. There's earlier generations of EPS, because the generation 2, there was actually a generation 1, a previous generation 2, and so this should be G3, not G2. But there's systems out there that are 15, 20 years old still going.
And that's the important part from a commercial aspect. The other aspect is the design of the overall system. So we're talking about mechanical key systems and master key systems. These are very sort of important systems within a commercial environment, industrial environment. What are some of the sort of the tricks of the game? You're a years experienced locksmith. What are you seeing clients sort of take most value out of, particularly in the design phase?
I think the most important thing in the design stage is the key matrix, so which key fits where, simple. If you keep it simple, it means you have room for expansion. Expansion is suitable if you need a new building, add it, you've got room in the codes because there's a limited number of codes. The more complexity you put into it, for instance, the cleaner being able to fit every door they need to, then the maintenance guy every other door, but not those doors, and the complexity, the simpler you keep that hierarchy, the more available codes for the future. And those codes can be, as I said, for a new building, or a key within the system, which is high risk, is lost. Codes are available to rekey a portion of that system.
Yep.
If it's incredibly complex, with keys going everywhere, the number of available leftover codes at the end will be lower, which means removing a key, for instance, a cleaner's key that might fit multiple areas and cross-keying, we would most probably call it, to remove that key could be near on impossible without rekeying the entire system. So keeping it simple, and does that mean potentially someone might need 2 keys? Yes, it does. But it will simplify your design, and with correct management, knowing who's got which keys, getting them back where they leave, and making sure you regularly maintain the database of the system, means keeping it simple. The system should last for years.
Nice. The other aspect is electronic access control versus digital access control, and then we're talking about mechanical key systems and master key systems as an access control process. How are the two coming together? There is a correlation now between digital key systems also, but when we marry that with a master key system and electronic access control, how do the two come together, and which one kind of has a hierarchy? Is there a hierarchy, or you marry them?
I think.
And I'm asking a locksmith here.
Oh,
too,
you're asking a locksmith, but I go to a major trade show like Security 2025, and as far as that's concerned, it's access control. I think access control gives the convenience everyone needs.
Yes.
But then you go look at that door, the front door with access control, there's a cylinder in there with a key in it.
Yep.
Which can override the access control, but obviously it's monitored and everything. But I think access control working with master key systems allows you to keep the complexity low, because you can key alike all your, I'm going to say every exterior door to the buildings on access control, for instance.
Yep.
You can key that alike and have no complexity. Those keys aren't even issued bar to maybe 1 or 2 people, or kept in an electronic key cabinet. So your risk of losing a key and needing a rekey are low as well. So I think the two actually work together very well. It's just the governance that security managers now bring in around those keys to an access control door, how they keep track of them and keep the complexity low, which means they can obviously not be exposed to lost keys.
Yep. The other aspect is sort of market and market segments. Have you got any sort of case studies that you find either have been done well or done poorly? And I suppose the importance, we're talking about sort of local government or other commercial outlets, just how they approach the key systems and generally manage them. Yeah, just your general insights from the industry and particularly what you're seeing today, like in 2025, 2026, in terms of the challenges and any changes in the market.
All right, so definitely when master key systems were king 10, 20 years ago, almost 20, 30 years ago, very complex master key systems, especially councils, schools, that style of thing, very complex. Military bases were all very complex system where, you know, instead of walking around for jailers' key rings with 100 different keys on it, they want it one.
Yeah.
Well, that now, by mixing access control and keys and other entry devices, is down to one or two keys, and that's I guess I see the future of master key is just simplifying things, and it has to work in unison with access control and obviously other security measures. Is where I don't know if I've really hit the answer on that one.
Well, the key challenge I see in the sector is particularly local government, because they have so many locations and hierarchy of people, but everything from parks through to cleaners and, you know, public toilets through to their operations centres and depots. How do they go about sort of designing that, and see what are the key challenges that you see that they have?
So the key challenge would be legacy. They might have, through that council, had 3 or 4 master key system designs over the last 50 years. They want to keep what they had.
Yep.
So their staff who had a key that fitted everywhere they needed to go, they want it again. But these days the storeroom in the council chamber is now the server rack.
Yep.
The cleaner doesn't need to go in there, or shouldn't go in there. So the designs need to change, and that's the biggest problem I see out there, is that what they've learnt from the legacy of maintaining master key systems for years, they won't modernise and say, well, hang on, the security requirements around the server room has changed.
Yep.
It's no longer a cleaning closet. Let's secure it.
How do they go about it? What would they tend to do? I take it it's the locksmith's responsibility here. From a security consultant's viewpoint, it's often a risk-based assessment. But when it comes to designing these systems and designing new locking processes, that really does come down to a specialist locksmith? Yeah,
well, so the locksmith, most locksmiths will do a lot of work with the client to work it out. It's a spreadsheet, doors, people.
Yeah. It's a software process as well now. I take it there's software capability.
Almost every locksmith is using software.
Yeah.
There's one that we don't sell, but virtually all our clients use, called ProMaster. ProMaster has a key manager software for the client as well. So it basically creates a spreadsheet, allows you to do the calculations or do the coding, generate coding via a computer.
Does that normally also work with the 4KS? Would you use something like that, or is there a unique way to manage a 4KS system?
4KS, they're all using software to generate the system, so generate and maintain. So it has a matrix to design the system that you can use to design. It will then generate the coding, so the different cuts in the key. It will then let you know you've cut, you can quantify you've cut 1 master key or 3 or 5 of that key. That's all recorded in the system. in the database, so you know you've cut 5 master keys, you know you've cut 5 front door keys, 5 back door keys, and so forth. It's all maintained in the system. It also maintains the cylinders, so if you've got a problem with the eastern fire exit and the cylinder's been damaged or something, you can go to ProMaster, build a new system based on the database, because it's telling you what you've got to build. You can go put it back in place. So for the locksmiths, it's doing all the tasks that were done by paper 30 years ago.
Got it. And particularly the record keeping is very important over time. As you mentioned, the changes in the environment and the built environment is almost constant.
Well, the record keeping is really important, because when you reach, I'm the owner of that master key system, maintaining that master key system and knowing who's got which keys is very important. So having the ability to know there's 5 of that key out there and these people have it, and identifying one missing. Once you identify a key missing, then you can obviously do a risk assessment based on, is that a risk to the organisation, or it fits the garbage bin out the back, it's not a risk. You can, without doing an audit from a customer focus, doing an audit, so knowing what you've got, knowing what's out there, and comparing the two, you can't do a risk assessment.
Well, that might be a good point to cover off on doing a key audit. I take it having up-to-date systems allows a key audit to be done almost on a regular basis, but I imagine a key audit or something like that should be done at least annually, I would imagine, or again, depending on the risk profile of the client.
Well, that's where I was quickly mentioning it before, but the software the locksmiths are using to generate the master key system has a client module. So you can know you've got 50 locks and all these various keys, and you can track who's got which.
Got it.
So audit would be maintaining the database. When you hand out a new key, issue date, who got it, when they returned it, or the status.
Yes.
But maintaining that data is important, which means when it comes to an audit, you know where all your keys are. So the most basic thing is, when new people come, you actually work out where they've got to go and give them a key to suit. But when they leave, getting that key back, because that's where the risk is.
Well, often that's held with either the facility manager, security manager, or office manager, generally, in my experience.
Yes.
But it's easier said than done in maintaining these key systems.
If I look at it, the best people at maintaining that, the best case I've ever seen was at a school in Queensland, and the library staff worked with the security people to maintain their database. It was perfect.
Nice.
Absolutely perfect.
Well, Geoff, this is a good time to maybe wrap up the differences here between the 4KS and the G2. Maybe highlight, because obviously the 4KS is a premium product for maximum security.
Yeah, the 4KS being a premium product is designed for people looking for, obviously, the premium security they can get. But with that premium security comes the ability to create large and complex master key systems. I guess knowing that it is extremely unlikely someone will reverse engineer a key. It's extremely unlikely that someone's going to pick a cylinder. And if someone is attacking that cylinder, trying to drill it or smash the cylinder, it's unlikely it's going to give up easily.
Yeah. Plus, it's detectable as well if they do have to get to that, right?
For sure. And it goes beyond the key as well, in that the ability to cut keys is also licensed. So the key machine that the locksmiths use to generate or cut keys is licensed by the factory in Austria. So it's not just a high-end product in the mechanical design, also the governance with it increases that.
And the long patents on that too as well. The G2 outperforms traditional master key systems. Maybe outline its design and what makes it a unique product in its own right.
Okay, so G2 we call high security. It fits in the middle between conventional inline master key system, which are mostly 6-pin. They're essentially your front door lock with a registered design on the keyway and one extra pin. Your front door lock generally has 5 pins, it's got 6. The registered design, strongly supported by the locksmith industry, which means taking your key produced by locksmith A and getting locksmith B to cut it, virtually never happens. So it's a very well protected, but the people trying to produce the keys generally aren't locksmiths. So it's not that difficult to reverse engineer a key in a traditional inline master key system. G2 brings in a lot of technology there. Firstly, it's not a registered design, which is 10 years, it's a patent. It has a patent on the system to 2041. It's not using traditional pins with top pins and springs. It's using sliders with sidebars and also control bars, so it's got multiple shear lines. There's only one shear line in a inline system effectively. It's also tightly controlled in that you can't just reproduce the key blank easily. Key blanks are side drilled by a special machine that is not available to locksmiths. So it's got a lot of levels, and then built into that it's anti-pick, as I said before, and will always say highly pick resistant. I'm never going to say 100%. Bump resistant, drill resistant, pulling resistance. Pulling is when you pull the centre of the cylinder out with a tool. So it's got all these built-in additions, but it's very competitively priced, and it fits between the premium product and the low-end product. You get a lot of extra ability with that system. Now, if you're a council, it's perfect because you can create a large complex master key system, even though I say don't create complex. It's suitable for a large system. It's suitable for dirty environments. So G2 is a great product, fits in between low end and high end.
I think you've highlighted that you can have scale, but it doesn't necessarily need to be complex. And your key message out of it today was keeping it simple. What are some of the questions that the client should be asking? These key systems have a lot of features which we need, but often the client is a bit blind to the requirements of those. What are sort of the fundamental questions that the client should have as they come around? And then we'll also sort of the triggers that the client should be seeing within their own system, where they go, okay, we're going to have to migrate or upgrade our key systems or get a whole new systems. Obviously for new builds and new buildings, it's straightforward, but what are the fundamentals that the client should be looking for or asking, I suppose, about a system?
I think for the client, their environment, obviously what we'd use on a wharf with salt and dust and sand and coal dust and stuff like that would be different to what you'd use, in a small office complex or factory unit with 2 doors and 4 staff. Also, they need to be thinking of what we're protecting. If they're in the government space, do they need SCEC endorsed? How it's controlled, the governance. So EVVA key systems have factory governance, Davcor governance, and locksmith governance. Inline product generally will have similar levels, but it's very tightly controlled with EVVA.
The other aspect is how often the environment changes. Things like hospitals and schools and local government, their environment is changing all the time. Their building design changes, their use of offices and certain areas changes as well. I take it that impacts on the locking systems, but as long as it's a simple system, you may only be changing certain local systems. Is that the way you want to be thinking about it too?
Okay, that is definitely the case. Inline G2 4KS, basically the coding capacity increases. So in a changing environment where the council office changes from one to another and you have to rekey, the larger the initial code pool and a basic design used, the more likely you are to have key codes available to rekey that space. So that comes with the high level systems. Lower level systems have less available codes.
Got it. And I suppose to finish off, the triggers, the signals that the client will be seeing in their environment to go, okay, we don't know where keys are, we've lost track of keys, or keys don't match the doors anymore. What are some of the signals that they'll be getting in their key systems that would indicate to them that they either need to rekey or redesign the whole system?
Well, I think...
when you're locked out, I suppose.
I think when you're locked out, or when you come to work and the front door's open, and you don't know who opened it.
There you go.
What I'd be saying there, get a list of keys from the locksmith who built your master key system. Get a list of all the high-level keys, so grandmaster keys, master keys, and so forth. See if you can track down where they are. If you've not done an audit regularly, at least yearly or more often, once you have done the audit, then keep it up to date as keys come and go. I think many businesses who haven't done audits, if they do, I think they'd be quite surprised how many master keys are actually missing.
Yeah. Particularly with a high staff turnover or staff turnover over a period of time. Complacency, I suppose, is the biggest threat within a key system.
For sure, because
Yeah.
they're mechanical. You don't have a link to the key. So unless you're keeping the database up to date and knowing who has that key and when they were issued it and when they gave it back, then the risk is where that key fits. So obviously if it's a high level key and fits an entire organisation, the risk is high. So knowing where your keys are at is very important.
Beautiful. Well, on that note, it's a very important message as well. I think key systems are one of those fundamental aspects of security. Touches everybody's life every single day, but it's one of those things that are taken for granted most of the time. So it's great to have a deep dive here at Davcor Group in Minchinbury on the EVVA 4KS and the EVVA G2. But Geoff Plummer, the Executive Business Manager with Davcor Group, thanks once again for joining us on My Security TV. And I look forward we'll cut this down in terms of the interview. It's great to have a deep dive regardless in its long form in Master Key Systems. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.